My child, set down the letter fear has been writing about you. Fear has been drafting a story where you are forgotten, erased, and one mistake away from being crossed out. But my word says in Isaiah 49:16, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. You are not held in pencil. You are kept in my hands. And right now, as these words reach you, I want that older, deeper writing to become the place you stand. Come a little closer. There is nothing you need to settle before you are allowed to be here. I am not waiting for you to feel peaceful before you draw near, and I am not asking you to come with your worry already solved. Come with it unsolved. Come with the page still in your hands, half finished, still anxious. That is exactly the kind of heart I lean toward, not the one that has rewritten itself into something presentable, but the one honest enough to bring me the draft it is actually afraid of. Before this is over, I'm going to read you that line in full, slowly, the way it deserves to be read. I want it to do for you what it was always meant to do, and I want to show you why your heart keeps trusting the frightened page over the permanent one, why the words fear writes feel so much more real to you than the words I engraved long before fear ever picked up its pencil. So, let me begin where you actually are, not where you arrange yourself to be when someone asks. I see you. I see the one who lies down at the end of the day and cannot stop the mind from drafting tomorrow's disasters in advance, rehearsing the conversation that has not happened, the bill that has not come, the diagnosis that has not been spoken. The worry does not even feel like a choice anymore. It feels like a duty, as though by going over every possible loss in your head you are somehow standing guard against it. You wake already composing the list. You fall asleep, still revising it. There is the one of you who keeps a tally on a screen, the small running sum of what is left after everything else is paid, doing the arithmetic again at the table because the number did not soften the first 3 times. There is the parent lying awake, listening for a footstep that has not come home, writing and unwriting the worst version of the night. There is the one who reads an unanswered message 6 times, searching the silence for a verdict, certain the quiet means something has gone wrong with them. The single one of you who watches other people's steadiness through a lit window from the cold street, sure that whatever holds their life together was drafted for someone else. None of that is hidden from me. I am not reading your situation from across a room. I am near the part of you that has run out of words for what it is carrying, the part that stopped trying to explain itself even to me because explaining took a strength you did not have left. I know the hour it gets loudest too. For some of you it is the dark middle of the night when the house finally goes still and there is no task left to hide inside of, and the worry rises and starts writing in the silence. For some of you it is the moment right before you walk into a room where people need you to seem fine, and you arrange your face in the hallway and decide to keep the worst of the page to yourself. I see the cost of that composure. You do not have to keep up the performance with me. With me, you can let the page show. And let me say something about all that anxious drafting you have done. It was not stupid, and it was not faithless. You were trying to protect what you love. You learned somewhere that if you could only foresee every danger, you might be able to stop one of them. And so you turned your mind into a watchman that never sleeps. The trouble was never that you cared too little. The trouble is that you were handed the job of writing your own worth with a trembling hand, and no one ever told you it had already been written by mine. But listen carefully. Fear can draft, but it cannot engrave. Hold on to those 2 words for the rest of this message, because the whole difference between your panic and your peace lives in the space between them. A draft is provisional. A draft is meant to be changed. What I have done with your name is the opposite of a draft. Soften your gaze for a moment as you listen. Do not fix your eyes hard on anything in the room. Let them rest, half open, the way they do when you are not bracing to read the next bad line. You do not have to make anything happen. Just let the staring stop. So much of your worry lives in the eyes, the narrowed, scanning look of someone always checking the horizon for the next threat. Let that look loosen by a degree. It is its own small honesty. It tells me what your mouth has been too tired to say, that you are weary of standing watch over a page you were never meant to write alone. Now hear how the prayer has changed. It used to be long. It used to have real words in it, the kind you meant. Some days now it is only a breath pushed at the ceiling, a sigh you are not even sure counts as prayer. It counts. I have read every one. The sigh you think is too small to register is the one I lean closest to hear. I never needed the eloquence. I needed the heart, and the heart is in the sigh. And here is something you have not let yourself notice. The worry promised you control, and it never delivered. That was the bargain you struck without meaning to. Foresee the danger and you can prevent it. Run every loss in advance, and you can be ready. But name one thing the worry has actually stopped. One. The nights you spent rehearsing disaster did not move the disaster an inch closer or further. The arithmetic you ran a fourth time did not change the sum. It took your sleep and your peace and gave you back only the illusion that you were doing something. I am not telling you this to shame you. I am telling you because I want you free of a debt that was never buying you anything. So set down. For now, the idea that you're watching is what keeps the people you love safe. It never was. I have been awake the whole night you were awake, only I was not rehearsing the loss. I was holding the ones you were afraid for, the same ones whose names are written where yours is. You can lay the watch down. The watch is mine, and I know where the frightened writing began. The picture of me you have been carrying was drawn for you slowly, over years, by hands that meant well and by hands that did not. You were handed a version of me who keeps a careful ledger of your performance, who reads back your failures, who files you away at your worst. A god of accusation, whose record of you is mostly a list of where you fell short. So when fear started writing its own cruel account of you, it did not feel like a lie. It felt like agreement with a God you already believed was keeping score. I want you to know with everything in me, that is not who I am, and it is not what I have written. The record I keep of you is not a list of your failures. It is something else entirely, and I will show it to you before this is done. But first I have to take the false page out of your hands, because as long as you believe I wrote it, you will keep reading it as the truth. So here is the lie I want to break with you. Gently, because it has been loud and it has not been kind. You came to believe that you are whatever your worst season says you are, that your identity is a sum you are responsible for keeping positive, and every loss subtracts from it, and one bad enough chapter could erase the whole account. You have been living as though who you are is a balance you have to defend, a name that could be crossed out if you slipped badly enough. So you guard it. You perform. You over-explain. You apologize for taking up room. But your name was never yours to keep positive. Here is where the false page loses authority. The version of me you inherited would have you believe that your standing depends on your record, that you are loved on the days the page reads well and quietly written off on the days it does not. That is not how I hold you. That is fear holding the pen and forging my signature at the bottom. Dear family, I want to share something important with you all. Recently, our channel has been demonetized by YouTube, which means we no longer receive any earnings from our videos. Each video takes a lot of time, effort, editing, and resources to create, but we still want to continue spreading these powerful and uplifting messages to you. We truly wish to keep this channel alive and continue our mission, but doing this without any support is becoming very difficult. If our content has ever helped you, inspired you, or supported you in any way, we humbly request your support through Buy Me a Coffee. Even a small contribution helps us continue this journey. The support link is available in the comment section and the description. Thank you for your love, support, and prayers. God bless you. What I have written about you does not get revised when you fail. It was set down once, in a hand that does not shake, and it has not changed since. You are engraved, therefore you are kept. Let that sink one layer deeper than your feelings can reach. Kept is not how you feel on a given afternoon. Kept is where your name is written, and where it is written does not move with your mood. Picture, for a moment, the difference between two kinds of writing. There is the writing fear does, frantic, provisional, always being edited, scratched out and rewritten with every new fear, never finished, never sure. And there is the writing I do, slow, deliberate, cut deep enough that it cannot be erased, the kind of mark that is not added to a surface but pressed permanently into it. Do not confuse a loud draft with permanent writing. Fear writes you in pencil and keeps erasing. I have written you in a way that no eraser can reach. Hold that picture for a second before you move on, because everything I am about to tell you turns on the difference between those two pages. Here is what the false picture stole from you most. It told you that what is written about you can be unwritten, that the right amount of failure could cancel your belonging, that you could fall far enough to lose your place in my heart. So you have lived bracing against that erasure. But the deepest thing written about you is not on a surface that erases. It is cut into the most permanent place there is, and I will tell you exactly where before this is over. And I need to be honest with you about what I am promising, because the world has handed you a smaller and cheaper version of it and called it good news. The promise I am making is not that your circumstances rearrange themselves by a date you can mark on a calendar. I am not handing you a guaranteed afternoon when the money lands. The test comes back clear, the door opens, the person walks back through it. I will not give you a counterfeit and forge my name under it. The ones who promise you delivery by a certain hour are not writing in my hand, and when their date passes, your faith should not have to be crossed out along with it. What I am giving you is something no failure can subtract and no thief can reach. A name that is kept, belonging that does not rise and fall with the week's news, pardon for everything you have been carrying as a debt against your own account, the steady knowledge that you are mine, written somewhere your worst season cannot revise. That is the inheritance. That is the headline. The things you ache for that you can hold in your hands. Those are real, and I have not forgotten them, and I will tend to each in my own wisdom and my own time. But they are chapters underneath the headline. They are not the line your life rests on. If they were, your piece would be edited every time your circumstances changed, and you would be right back to defending a balance with a trembling hand. The line your life rests on is your name in my writing, and that does not get revised when your situation does. Your name is kept where fear cannot reach it, not in the part of you that gets anxious, not in the ledger your worst week keeps. Somewhere deeper than the place where the bad news lands. Now let me bring you to the line I promised. I want you to know where it was first written before I say it in full, because it was not set down in a comfortable season for people who felt secure. It was written for a people who were certain they had been forgotten. They were far from home, living in exile in a foreign land, and they had said to themselves, the thing you have said to yourself on your hardest nights. They said it out loud, in fact. They said, the Lord has forsaken me, my Lord has forgotten me. They looked at the bare facts of their lives, the loss, the distance, the years gone by with no rescue. And they read those facts the way you read your worst season, as proof that their name had been erased from my heart. They were sure the silence was a verdict. Picture them for a moment, because they are more like you than you think. They were not faithless people who had never known me. They were people who had known me and then watched their whole world come apart, and the coming apart had convinced them I must have let go. They were tired. They were ashamed of how the story had turned out. Some of them had stopped praying altogether, the way you stop saying the long prayer when you are too worn down to believe it lands anywhere. They had a city in ruins behind them, and a foreign one around them. And when they thought of me at all, they thought of a God who had moved on. That is the room I spoke this line into. Not a room of confident believers, a room of people who had written their own erasure and were sure I had signed it. I want you to feel how patient they had to be to even still be listening. The grandparents among them remembered the homeland the younger ones had never seen. They told the old stories around small fires in a place that was not theirs, and you could hear in their voices the question they no longer said out loud, whether any of it had been true, whether I had ever really been with them, whether the long silence meant the whole thing had been a comfort they outgrew. That is the quiet despair I was speaking into. Not loud rebellion, the slow erosion that happens when a person waits long enough to stop expecting an answer. If that is the shape your faith has worn down to, not anger at me, just a tired suspicion that I have stopped paying attention, then you are exactly the one this line was written for, because that is exactly the heart it found. I did not answer them the way they expected. They expected, if I answered at all, to be scolded for their unbelief. Instead, I reached for the tenderest image I had. I answered the way a mother answers a child who is convinced she has been abandoned. I asked them whether a mother could forget the infant at her own breast, and even if somehow such an unthinkable forgetting were possible, I told them, I will not forget you. And then, as if even a mother's love were too small a thing to compare mine to, I gave them the line I am about to give you. Now let Isaiah 49:16 answer the part of you that feels forgotten. Read it slowly. This is what I said. Isaiah chapter 49 verse 16. I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. Your walls are continually before me. Stay with that one moment before you move on. Let it land before you read another line. I have engraved you, not written, not noted, not penciled in the margin. Engraved. Take it apart with me, clause by clause, because every word of it is for you. Notice first the verb I chose. I did not say I have written you down somewhere safe, in a book I keep on a high shelf, in a record I could close and set aside. I did not say I noted your name in passing. I said, engraved. Engraving is not done with ink that fades or pencil that can be erased. Engraving is cut. It is pressed permanently into the surface, carved deep enough that it becomes part of the thing itself. When I told that frightened, exiled people that I had engraved them, I was telling them their place with me was not provisional, not penciled in, not subject to revision on their worst day. It was cut in. And what I said to them, I am saying to you, your name is not written about you in fear's erasable hand. It is engraved in mine. And notice where I engraved it. Not on a wall you might walk away from. Not on a page I might close. On my own open hands, the part of me that is always before my own face. The place I cannot look away from. The place that is with me in everything I do. You have wondered, on the long nights, whether I think of you at all. Here is my answer, given to a people just as sure I had forgotten them as you have been. I cannot use my hands without seeing your name. I cannot reach, or hold, or build, or bless, without your name there in the open palm, continually before me. You are not someone I remember occasionally, when you finally get my attention. You are engraved where I cannot stop seeing you. And hear the second half, because I did not stop at the engraving. Your walls are continually before me, even the broken places, the parts of your life that lie in ruins. The things you are most ashamed are not rebuilt yet. Even those I keep continually before me. I am not waiting for you to repair your walls before you are worth my attention. I am holding the rubble in my sight with the same constancy as the name on my palm. The ruin is not hidden from me, and it has not changed where you are written. I did not put that line in my word for scholars to weigh and footnote. I put it there for the one who is sure they have been forgotten, the one drafting their own erasure on a sleepless night. the one who reads every loss as evidence that their name has been crossed out. I set it down for you, so that when fear picks up its pencil, you would have something engraved to hold against it. And there is more I have written about you, in case one line is not enough to quiet the page in your chest. I have not only engraved your name, I have written my own law of love into the deepest part of you, not on tablets of stone outside you that you have to strain to obey, but inside, on your heart, where it becomes who you are and not just what you are told. There was an old way, where the rules stood outside a person like a wall they kept failing to climb. That was never the home I wanted for it. So I moved the writing inward. I put it on the heart itself, so that being mine would not be a standard you stand under, but a truth you are made of. And you yourself are a letter, written not with ink, which fades, but with my own spirit, which does not. Think about what that means. A letter does not write itself, and it does not defend itself, and it does not have to earn the words on its own page. It only has to be what the author has made it say. You have been laboring to compose yourself, to keep your own page presentable, to revise yourself into someone worth keeping. You can stop. You are not the author of this letter. I am. You are not the frightened account fear keeps drafting. You are a letter I am writing, in a hand that does not fade, read by everyone who watches your life. Now look back at what I asked at the very beginning of this message. I told you your heart keeps trusting the frightened page over the permanent one, and I said I would show you why. Here is the answer. You were taught, somewhere near the start, that your worth was a balance you had to keep positive, a record you were responsible for, a name that could be crossed out if you failed badly enough. So fear's account felt true because it agreed with what you already believed about how you were held. But you were held wrong in your own imagination. Your name was never a balance you had to defend. It was engraved the whole time in a hand that does not erase, by a God who could not look at his own open palm without seeing you. And here is what that means for the worry you are carrying right now. The specific one, the one that came to mind the moment I started speaking. You have been reading it as a line against you, a piece of evidence that something is wrong with you, that you have been overlooked, that your name is slipping. But the worry is not the writing that defines you. It is fear's pencil moving on the surface, and underneath it, untouched, is the engraving. Kept is not a mood. Kept is a place. And the thing you are afraid will erase you cannot reach the place where you are cut in. It never could. And the reason you can trust the engraving, the reason this is not just a comforting picture, is what my own hands carried. The hands that hold your name are not untouched hands. They are wounded hands. My Son stretched them open on the cross and let them be marked, so that the place where your name is engraved would forever bear the cost of your belonging. Fear can point to your failures, but it cannot unpierce those hands. The engraving was made permanent by a wound. That is why I can promise you a name that no failure erases, and not be lying to you. The cost was already paid in the palms themselves, and nothing has been able to unwrite it since. Sit with that picture a moment longer because it answers the oldest objection your fear keeps raising. The accusation has always been the same. Surely a God who really saw what I have done would have second thoughts. Surely if he knew the whole record, the name would not be safe. But the place where I carved you is not a place that has been protected from your failure. It is the place that absorbed it. The hands did not stay clean by keeping their distance from your worst. They were opened in the middle of it. So when fear leans in close and whispers that one more failure will finally be the one that cancels you, you can answer it with something it cannot argue against. That the marks were made first, before you ever did the thing you are ashamed of, and the name was cut in on the far side of the cost. What I engraved, no fear can erase, because the engraving and the wound are the same place. So here is something small you can carry into the rest of your week, and you do not have to do it perfectly. When you catch fear picking up its pencil, when you feel the old account start to run, the list of everything wrong with you, the sum of your worst season, try saying one true sentence about yourself out loud, low enough that only I can hear it. Not a sentence you have earned. A sentence I have written. Say, I am engraved, not erased. Or simply, my name is kept. Say it even if you do not feel it. The point is not the feeling. The point is to read the permanent writing back to yourself in your own voice, so the voice that has only ever read you fear's draft starts learning a truer line. You may feel nothing the first time. You may feel a little foolish the 5th time. But somewhere around the 30th time, when fear starts its account, and the true sentence comes almost on its own before you have decided to say it, you will notice you have stopped reaching first for the page that erases. You will notice you are reading from the hand that does not, and a heart that learns to read itself from my writing instead of fears looks at the same worries with a steadiness it did not have to manufacture. The worries are not smaller. You are simply no longer defending a name that was never in danger of being crossed out. Do not be discouraged if the old voice still comes. It will. The point of the practice is not to make fear stop speaking. The point is to give yourself a second voice in the room so that fear is no longer the only one reading you a verdict. For a long while, the true sentence will feel like the quieter of the two, and you will have to choose it on purpose. That is normal. That is what learning a new language always feels like before it becomes your own. You are not failing the days the true sentence feels thin. You're practicing on those days, and the practice is doing its slow work underneath the feeling, the same way the engraving holds underneath the weather. There is a second thing you can carry, for the days the worry comes back, wearing the face of the future. The old habit is to draft tomorrow, to sit down with the blank page of the day you have not lived yet, and fill it with everything that could go wrong. When you feel that pull, see if you can let it become a different motion. Instead of writing the disaster, hand me the pen, out loud or silently, however you can manage it. I am not the one writing tomorrow, you are. You are not pretending the hard things cannot happen. You are refusing to author them in advance in fear's hand. You are giving the blank page back to the one who has already written your name across the top of it. Each time you do that, you're practicing the one thing the exiles finally learned, to let me be the one holding the record of their lives instead of carrying it themselves into the dark. And notice what your hands are doing while you say it. So often when the future presses in, the hands close. They grip the steering wheel, they clench in your lap. They hold tight to a phone you keep checking. That clenching is the body trying to author tomorrow on its own. So when you hand me the pen, let the hands open too, even a little palms loosened, the way a hand looks when it has finally let go of something it was never strong enough to carry. You are not handing me the pen because you have given up on tomorrow. You are handing it over because the one whose open palms already hold your name is far better suited than your tired grip to write the day you cannot see. And on the days you cannot manage the words at all, let your breath do it. Let one slow breath go all the way out, longer and emptier than you usually allow, until the bracing in your chest has somewhere to go. That long exhale is its own kind of prayer. It says without a single word that you are letting me hold the page for a moment instead of gripping it yourself. What is engraved asks nothing of your eloquence. It only asks that you stop now and then, and let yourself be held by writing you did not have to make. Do not measure how kept you are by how the worry reads today. The worry is weather. My writing is the engraving underneath it, and the engraving does not change when the weather turns. A hard week is not a line against you. A frightening month is not a verdict. The season where everything feels uncertain is not me revising your name. It is fear moving its pencil on a surface I settled long ago. Overwriting it can never reach. You are kept in a hand that does not erase. What I engraved no fear can erase. He can write on the surface. He has never reached the palm where your name is cut. Amen. If this devotional reached the part of you that has been bracing to be crossed out, leave the word kept below. Just above this video, in the pinned comment, 7 short letters are waiting. 1 for each of the 7 days ahead. Take them and let them be the steadier writing you return to on the days fear picks up its pencil again. Share this with someone reading their own worst season as the truth about who they are. And stay close, so the next word can find you. Your name was never yours to defend alone. Dear family, I want to share something important with you all. Recently, our channel has been demonetized by YouTube, which means we no longer receive any earnings from our videos. Each video takes a lot of time, effort, editing, and resources to create, but we still want to continue spreading these powerful and uplifting messages to you. We truly wish to keep this channel alive and continue our mission, but doing this without any support is becoming very difficult. If our content has ever helped you, inspired you, or supported you in any way, we humbly request your support through Buy Me a Coffee. Even a small contribution helps us continue this journey. The support link is available in the comment section and the description. Thank you for your love, support, and prayers. God bless you.